You get into conference play, you get out of that non-conference mode. What is there at least a little bit of a different excitement level from you guys, from the players especially? Do you sense that?
I think it's natural for fans to do that. I think it's imperative for us to not operate that way. We have to operate that every day is the same, every Monday is the same, every Tuesday is the same. Because then if you ratchet it up for one opponent or you play it down for another opponent, our players are smart enough to recognize that, and we've got to prepare the same no matter who we're playing. And again, you need not look any further than last Saturday. There's upsets everywhere. Of teams that you look on the computer and how'd that happen? And again, it's a preparation. Our guys have been committed to our kind of our deal and just our daily deal, and that can't change.
We're talking to Gary a little bit about this with Anthony. We know how good he is. We know how explosive and fast he is, but it's almost at a point, especially these first 3 games, where it's just kind of ridiculous. His touch-to-touchdown ratio. In all your years coaching, have you ever seen anything like this?
No. He's a once in a lifetime type guy for sure. And we've had a lot of good players around here, but he's a guy that just literally, if somebody was joking the other day they should break in every time he touches the ball, that might be worth it. But it's incredible just how he works every day, has a giant smile on his face, and is a great teammate. And those guys are just rare.
How hard is it for you not to give him the football every snap?
That's what I was going to joke about there when you said the touch ratio is good, and that's something that we just have to be creative about, and because people certainly have to game plan for him, and just moving him around and doing different things with him makes that a little bit more difficult to kind of iron in on one spot, and so that's something we just have to work on.
Byron Marshall showed a lot of improvement, it looked like, from that first game to this last game. Chip had mentioned a lot more north-south running, less east-west running. What was the biggest difference you saw from a maturity standpoint in Byron?
Just that experience, guys that kind of are feeling their way through things, especially true freshmen, not only true freshmen, but redshirt freshmen that haven't played in over a year. That they're used to carrying the ball so many times in high school, and then they don't carry it for a year when it quote unquote matters. You see a lot of growth for those guys usually, and rightly so. In his case, did a great job last week of recognizing things, just hitting things much more naturally, and there's still some things that he can correct and improve upon, and we expect him to make that another leap at least.
Gary had mentioned that he's a guy that he vehemently believes he'll need to rely on at some point this season.
Definitely.
He could be a 10, 12 touch type guy in the coming weeks. Is he ready to play at the Pac-12 level?
I think so. He's been a guy. We were joking about after the second game, him and Farrow and a couple of other younger guys were a little bit down in the dumps about just not as many touches or not as many carries. We're going to need all those guys. We're going to need everybody that's playing right now at some point, whether it's knock on wood, a long-term deal or a helmet coming off. You see that across the country too with that new rule. We might need him on the 2-point conversion to win a game, and so he's going to prepare like he's the starter and all hands on deck.
What about Arizona's defense that is challenging for you guys?
They're very challenging. They kind of rely upon confusion. They're a 3-3-5 team, a lot of moving parts. They moved a bunch of guys around from last year, whether it's safeties moving to linebacker, corners moving to safety, that type of thing. And they're very fast. They've always known Coach Castile for a long time from West Virginia, even go back to UTEP, and they do a great job.
Given that, how much of a test is this going to be for Marcus in facing this kind of a defense that is kind of gimmicky like that?
Gimmicky's not the right word. Yeah. Confusing. It'll be a test for him. It'll be a test for our front guys, just in terms of recognition and being on the same page. Luckily, there are elements of our defense that are similar, elements to a couple of other teams that we've played that are similar, not the same, but just things that can carry over.
Do you feel like you'll learn more about Marcus in a game like this than maybe you did in the first 3 games?
I don't know. He had a really good practice today, and we added some different things in the game plan from a game plan standpoint that are different, and he handled that well, and so just need to prepare.
You ran the heck out of the ball against these guys last year, and personnel-wise, it's a lot of the same guys. Are they different enough scheme-wise that you can't just trust that you'll be able to run the game?
Totally different. Couldn't really be different, from a schematic standpoint. And then, like I said, they moved a couple guys. Flowers, they moved from safety to linebacker, and he's really flourishing. And then they're rotating, kind of a 3-down scheme instead of that 4-down scheme. But yeah, from a scheme standpoint, it doesn't help at all, unfortunately.
I want to ask you about penalties, because I was looking at numbers over the years. You guys have been 100th or lower in the country since Chip became head coach. Are penalties, to some extent, a function of the pace you guys play? Are you going to have to accept some higher penalty numbers
No, I don't think accepting. I think penalties are one of those things that when penalties, if you look at the real stats, they don't matter. You know, some of the most highly penalized teams win the most games, and we certainly don't want dumb penalties. We don't want personal fouls. We don't want procedure penalties. But we're going to correct the things that are correctable, talk about the things that maybe aren't, and move on. But that's one of those weird stats. You know, if you look at that through the years, it doesn't have that great of effect on winning and losing. But at the same time, we don't need 1st and 15 or 2nd and 20 or converting a 3rd down to bring it back. You know, there's some things that are just first-time errors. There were some things that you know, we had a ton of penalties last week, and we talked about it for sure.